Hey everybody, today I am really in the heart of Carmel. I'm along Range Line Road, which ends up going down into Indianapolis to the south, which is a totally different name of the road actually. It turns into Westfield Boulevard. Whenever you go to the south there, the sun is kind of in our eyes going that way. And then going to the north, it continues to be Range Line. You get into downtown Carmel. So this really is the heart of Carmel. And this is one of the places where you could get a first impression of Carmel. And it could be a good one or a bad one. So we're going to talk about first impressions for Carmel in this video. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Compton with the Compton Home Group. Welcome back to the channel. If you want to know everything there is to know about living in a place like Carmel, Indiana, or of course, just to the south of here, Indianapolis, Indiana, or any of the cities and towns surrounding it, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also tap the little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. Now we have people reaching out to us from all over the country with questions about Carmel, of course, absolutely, and Indianapolis, of course, and then other cities and towns that surround where I'm at right now in Carmel. So we've got Fishers off to the east. We've got Westfield just to the north. If you continue up Range Line, you can get right into Westfield, Indiana. Got Noblesville just to the northeast of here. Greenwood all the way to the south. Plainfield to the southwest. There are all kinds of cities and towns that surround Indianapolis. So if you have questions about any of those places at all, and whether they might be a fit for you, then make sure you reach out any way you know how. We'll always have your back with those questions, and we'll certainly have your back when it comes for you to make your move to the Indianapolis Metro. All right, guys, again, I'm in Carmel, and like I said, I'm walking along Range Line here, and there's a super loud car wash. It's Crew Car Wash, which is a car wash you can find all over Indianapolis and all over Carmel, Fishers, Greenwood, Plainfield, some of the places that I mentioned in the video. Got some other typical places in here too. There's a Firestone, Auto Cares, a KFC up here, a Dunkin' Donuts behind me. There's a Jiffy Lube. But then if you get a little further north, you kind of get into the fancier downtown portion of Carmel. And the downtown portion is really made up of three parts. You've got the Arts and Design District, you've got Midtown, and then you've got City Center. So for a city of 100,000 people, the downtown area is really pretty big. And we'll talk to a lot of people that have their eye on Carmel and they think, well, we really think we want to move to Carmel, so we need to come and visit and see what it looks like and see if the impression that we get is the one that matches what we have in our heads. So I usually can help out with that in a number of ways. One of the ways is just giving you a list of places that you probably should go and check out in Carmel, maybe drive by at the very least just to see it, and you can start to get a sense of what the personality of Carmel's like. We can also set you up with going to different neighborhoods with different price ranges, different feels, different parts of Carmel, because you can have East Carmel, you can have West Carmel, and then you can have a blend right here in the center portion of Carmel, in the central area. It doesn't have a defined boundary, but generally this is pretty central Carmel. So you can do a lot of exploring too when you go from place to place. But if you come to this area, the downtown area of Carmel, in the past, people will come in and heard people say, wow, you know what? Carmel is way busier than what I thought it was gonna be, or it's way more crowded than what I thought it was gonna be. And of course, one of the places they wanna go see is downtown Carmel, which they could get to in a number of ways, but this could be one of those ways. Now, when you see this video, it could be 3 years from now. And of course, this road is gonna look very different in 3 years because right now, there's a lot of construction going on. It's not like this road is new at all. This road's been here for decades and decades and decades. It was certainly here in the 90s when I moved to Indianapolis and drove through Carmel. It just looks a little different now. It's actually a whole lot nicer. And then just behind me, of course, you got the downtown area, but you have all the roundabouts. And I'm looking up here a little bit to the south, and there's 2 new roundabouts being, well, they've been put in. They're just brand new. They haven't been open really all that long. So if you come up and down a road like this and you see construction, you see orange barrels, you see different buildings all over the place, like straight up here to the north, all those buildings are, for the most part, inside of a year or 2 old at most. So they really weren't there before, or there was something else there. And then I'm going down this direction, closer to 116th Street, and that used to be a stoplight. It's now a roundabout, which is open, although it still looks like it's under construction with all the orange barrels, even though they're picking some of them up actually as we speak, which is kind of strange. But there's a new townhome complex going on, or being constructed down there on the corner, so it could look very different. You go a little further south of that, and you can get to Central Park and the Monon Center, at least an entrance, one of the entrances to get into it. It's a really, really big place. So you can get into it from multiple roads. So busy, definitely. But if you come into this area, you might think, oh man, I don't know. I've seen some of the videos, I've read about Carmel, and I thought it wasn't quite like this. But truth is that there are some parts of Carmel that are exactly like this. they are pretty busy. They do have some traffic. Now, this traffic isn't Los Angeles traffic, but there are cars going up and down Rangeline because it's a pretty busy road, and it's one that you can use to go north and south quite a bit. And this video is being shot on a Monday, like 2 in the afternoon. So work day, you got people out. School day, people still out and about getting things done. And this is definitely going to be one of the busier places. So your first impression of Carmel could be made up of a lot of different things. If this is the only place that you come to, you're going to think it's wildly busy, or at least busy. Maybe not wildly busy, depending on where you're from, but it's busy. Maybe it's too much for me. You couldn't imagine living around here and I'm going to have to deal with all these cars and all this construction all the time. But I could certainly show you some places in Carmel, or send you to some places in Carmel where you're going to get into neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood, sometimes newer, sometimes older. And here's one of those new roundabouts just behind me. Not a super fancy one like some of the roundabouts, but definitely effective. And you're gonna think, going from place to place, and we've done this when we're out to seeing, let's say 5 or 6 homes that they're interested in, and we go through all of those 6 homes, and we almost never see anything that looks like this. Nothing commercial at all. So like this AutoZone right here behind me, they don't see anything like that. There's a barbecue place over here. There's a Italian street food, Piatta Italian street food. There's a fresh market grocery store being put in right here behind me. There isn't anything like this, what feels like nearby. But the truth is that Carmel has many different feels and many different locations. So I've talked before about the difference in feel of East Carmel versus West Carmel. Now, is it completely perfect and uniform, that feel? Not at all. But East Carmel tends to be a little bit older than what West Carmel does. And it's gonna have a little different look. It's not perfect across that whole area, but it will generally have a slightly different feel, East Carmel will, than West Carmel. You'll notice that if you visit enough places. So just visiting one place like this, or 5 or 6 houses, is not gonna give you a complete picture, because any one of those 5 or 6 houses that we probably went to in whatever part of Carmel, that's just gonna be your impression of it, and that it's not anything like this, or it's not near anything like this. And sometimes you can't imagine living in those places because I need to be near the CVS, which I just passed right here by this AutoZone. Or I don't like CVS, I need to be near a Walgreens. And of course, if you're near a CVS, you're probably near a Walgreens. So right there behind me, there's a Walgreens, right there. Or I want a gas station. Well, there's a gas station right behind me here. There's another gas station just up the road, closer to the car wash. You've actually got all of those places, even in those locations that you think, I'm not really near anything that I need. Truthfully, you're about 5 or 10 minutes at most from any of those places. It's just if you land in this place here and think I'm gonna explore Carmel and you're driving through here, you feel like this is all Carmel is. Now, Carmel is 100,000 people, actually a little over 100,000 people. So while it's not a big city, it's certainly not a teeny tiny city either. So it's going to have just about anything you're ever going to need. And it's also gonna have, and I'm talking about places that you would find anywhere in the country, it's also gonna have original places too. Some places that you're not gonna find anywhere else in the entire country. They're only gonna be found here in Carmel. So in order to get a true impression of what Carmel is really like, you gotta visit a lot of places, not just a place like this, Rangeline Road. I would think, oh God, Carmel's under construction all the time. Well, parts are, but it's big enough to allow that and be in some places where it's not under construction. So if it was super tiny and under construction all the time, that'd be weird. But in here, no, it's not exactly like this. This is pretty temporary for this particular road and this intersection here, 116th and Rangeline, which is a very busy intersection because 116th Street, which goes east-west, is a pretty major road. It's a pretty busy road, without a doubt. So be careful with those first impressions about really not just Carmel, but any place that you're visiting. It's just that Carmel, a lot of people visit it and they have a vision in their head of exactly what it's gonna look like, and it ends up looking a little different, sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a not so good way, in a surprising way. So visiting lots of places will give you that better overall impression. And it's absolutely something that we can help out with in developing that impression. Definitely say it usually takes some time to figure out what it's really like. Just like if you're trying to compare Carmel to Fisher's next door. If you're just driving through randomly, think, well, what are the differences? I don't really notice any. They are there. They are definitely there. It just takes a little time and some effort to find them, and also a little help sometimes just to know what to look out for to see the differences. So if you're coming to this area and you're exploring it, trying to develop your own impression, reach out. We're absolutely happy to help you out with that. And we'll chat with you in the next one.